something just happened and I wasn't ready for it. Really? Really? Veronica, what? You're not gonna give me any justification for this attitude? Okay. Hi guys, I'm Jessica Nicole Dickerson, aka JND, and welcome back to another video. So, in today's video, I'm continuing the series 5-star prediction or reading vlog. And by the way, if you haven't checked the last video, it was If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, I believe is her name, the author's name. It was a good book, but make sure you check it out to see if I thought it was a 5-star book. So, this next book I'm really excited for, and I also know for a fact that a lot of you probably won't think this book is coming next. I think it's gonna be a 5-star because I love the author. With no further ado, it is The Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. So, I know a lot of you just went, ew Jess, you really actually think this is gonna be a 5-star? You actually like this? I've loved all of Veronica Roth's books. I know a lot of people really hated Allegiant, and I wasn't a part of Booktube back in that time, so I'm not too sure why people hate it. I don't want to spoil Allegiant for anybody, but I actually like the ending. I really like when there are deaths with characters because it shows that life actually has real life consequences. That doesn't spoil it too much. You don't know who died. Hopefully, you won't be able to guess. But yeah, I actually liked Allegiant, and I really I thought Divergent was good. It's like not the best, but it's definitely a good dystopian. Like if you like a dystopian book, you might like Divergent and all that goodness. But Carve the Mark, the duology, Carve the Mark and The Fates Divide, is like a favorite. I believe it's considered more sci-fi because there's a lot of tech and space exploration and things like that. It's really good and really underrated. Like, I hope how many reallys I added in that sentence made it more meaningful for you. People need to talk about it more. I bet it was more talked about when it first came out, but it's one of my favorite duologies. I think it was so perfect. The romance was just the right amount, but the world exploration and the magical elements and the techie elements, spot on, spot on. So, I think this is going to be a 5-star for me. I actually got the audiobook for this. I'm really excited to dive into this. I've been looking forward to this since I graduated college and purchased this, and I think I pre-ordered it in May. I've been waiting that long to kind of sit down and vlog my experience with it. I've also heard a couple of good reviews about this. I think it's very hit or miss. I'm sorry if you can hear all that. We love our neighbors, don't we? It's hit or miss reviews. I've read some people say that how dare this have so many curse words, or like you can't just throw in a lot of curse words to make something adult. So I heard a lot of people talk about that aspect. Curse words normally don't bother me that much, so I don't know. There was a lot of reviewers who were very upset about the language in this book. It is an adult book, so I'm expecting foul language. There's also, I think, content warnings for like assault and things like that within this book, but this book is all about, in this world there was a prophecy of the chosen ones, hence also this cover. Just take a minute, it's so pretty. Okay, moving back to the plot of the story. Basically, this story is about there is a prophecy that these chosen ones would defeat the Dark One. So the Dark One is like the most evilest evil of evil people in the evil place. Like all the evils. He's real bad. He's a bad person. And these chosen ones are prophesied to save the world. They do. 10 years later, after having saved the world, the story begins. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to talk a lot about trauma and opening new chapters in life. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to have a lot of thought-provoking stuff. I've already kind of read the first chapter of this when I first got my hands on this book in May, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to the journey this book will take me on, and I shall take you with me. And let's see if this is 5 stars. Obviously, I want it to be 5-star read, but we'll see together. You and I. Stay to the end to see my thoughts. So I did read the first couple pages when I first got this book a few months back. I think I already said that earlier, but I just reread them and they're just so interesting. I like how they're like short snippets. We get a comedian's perspective who's from Chicago. We get a perspective of a doctor talking about the supernatural. We get this newspaper journalist who's a real butthead, who's interviewing Sloane, one of the chosen ones. So it's really cool. And then I just finished chapter 1, and then there was at the end of chapter 1 a top secret report from somebody else where Sloane was requesting information, and I just really feel like doing those kind of elements makes world building more interesting. Like, I've learned so much about the world in the first 8 pages from those like kind of news clippings and articles and stuff, rather than someone just telling me this is when and what happened and blah blah blah. So I think it's quite fascinating, and it's clear already that Sloane has some serious PTSD because of her experience with the Dark One, having been kidnapped and whatnot. I'm already in love, and I'm only 8 pages in. Super cool. And apparently Dakota Fanning is the voicing, narrating this book, which is very interesting. But I'm going to get back into it, and I'm so excited. Look at this fat story that's going to be filled with wonderful mystery. So I'm moving on to chapter 3, and sorry, I'm not going to give you a play-by-play of every chapter. It's just I changed and got comfy, and I made another cup of espresso. It's quite hot, but yeah. Look at that steam. You can kind of see the steam there. Ooh. But yeah, I think it's really interesting because it looks like after each chapter we are going to get some new case files of like freak events that like the Dark One caused. So it's really interesting. It looks like the Dark One emerged in like 2004, and in the book it's now 2020, like currently, where the Chosen Ones have defeated the Dark One. Such a simple name, but I can't say it. I also read another review on how this is another like blue-eyed hero story, but I'm interested to see in the long run how it feels for me, because it sounds like her boyfriend Matt, who's also a Chosen One, and Inez, so there's like 3 POC people in the 5, which is great because that means they're the majority, but it looks like a lot of people have designated Matt as not being one of the Chosen Ones, and she's like, that's just because they're racist. And they have mentioned him going up and talking to like his fans, because they are kind of idolized, the Chosen Ones. This is still a world with social media, so like one of the girls, Esther, is a social media star, but Matt took the time to like talk to a couple black students in uniform, and I think we witnessed him code switching, because Sloane's watching, and she's like, yeah, I never get to see him like that. Not in like a bad way, but like he relaxed. She's like, she visibly saw him relax and talk to these kids. So she's like people don't see what she sees in him, and that, yeah, people are very racist. So I like that she's already embedded that culture in here. So it's, yes, there's the Dark One, there's magical things going on obviously, but it's still grounded in very much real world issues. I like that. So I like that perspective, and I think that's a good thing that, you know, authors can just start doing, is little here's and there's. Like, there's a brief paragraph about this, and I just think it's a smart way for authors to go, embedding race into their book. Small things that are feasible and like just real, like timely, and match our world, you know, if that makes sense, without like, we don't have to like extremely oppress any POC person in a book to make them POC, but at the same time, like, let them live in the reality that is our reality. Yes, you can be a hero and be super good looking and a black dude and still have racist problems to deal with, and like, he's not poor, he's from the Upper East Side, she mentioned that. So yeah, I like that. So yeah, she is a blue-eyed brunette, like smoking hot girl, but I like how Veronica's still trying to diversify, but not like completely getting out of her lane, if that makes sense. Like, if you were a white author to write a completely POC story, like only having POC people, I just feel like you would have to do a lot of research to make it super grounding. Whereas if you have characters who are important and integral to the plot, be POC, and have them face the realities of the world, I like that. That was a tangent, my bad. But I'm gonna keep reading and I'll update you later. Okay, this is so exciting. I'm only on page 38, but it sounds like, okay, it's called The Chosen Ones, and the prophecy apparently this person who prophesizes things, and it's also really interesting because like there's things that are blurred out within these documents that they're sharing with us. So apparently the prophecy gave a list of criteria for the chosen one, and basically this theory is based off of Isaac Newton's third law, that everything has an equal power or whatever, because if there's a dark one, there has to be a chosen one. And so the prophecy lists criteria for a chosen one, and with that criteria they were able to find 5 people, but only one of them is the chosen one, which is really interesting because I thought they all fought together. Or not. I'm like blown away because that's really cool. Because I have so many questions. It's already a good book, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's currently 2 a.m. and the reading is going strong still, so I'm very happy about that. I'm on page 90 and I'm really liking it so far. The aspect of the story I've been talking about is mostly the romance, because I'm also going to talk about something that Veronica Roth has brought into this last not scene, what are they called? Chapters, right, Jessica? My brains. We'll see if any of this makes sense when I'm editing it. But of course there's a lot going on besides the romance, but it just so happens that the things she's talking about in this book are very topical, because Sloane, like their relationship, Matt and Sloane, so Matt, black guy, Sloane, white girl, trying to develop this relationship, and clearly there is the history of growing up together when they were like 12, being called chosen ones and having to lead their path and all this craziness. So they have crazy history and a lot of trauma to deal with, and they have to come together, and now they're trying to live normal lives. And it's very interesting because obviously, because this is based in our reality with like some fantastical elements of like the dark one, there are people who believe that the dark one was killing off the weak, and that the weak are mostly people of color, because they threaten Matt all the time that the dark one's gonna get him next time. Extremely racist comments, and Sloane wants to help because she thinks that he's too passive about those comments, and he's commenting to her like, you don't understand, you're forgiven for your actions, you can go around punching people, but I'm still looked on as violent just because of my skin color. Like, even with me smiling, people think I'm violent. So it's such an interesting take. And then obviously like Sloane also has justifications what's happened in her life and things like that. It's such interesting perspectives from both sides, where he's trying to keep this like perfect image and perfect little bubble constantly because of how people look on him, or people's perspective of him. And then there's Sloane, who's pushing everybody away, kind of including Matt, and I wonder if that's intentional, because she doesn't feel like she deserves love. Like a lot of stuff that's going on in her past. This is what I imagine a lot of mixed couples deal with, is like, you're not gonna understand my perspective because you didn't grow up the same way I did. And that's for either side, because Sloane also deals with a lot of fact that men will call her bitchy for not wanting to give them autographs and not smiling and silly things like that. So that was an interesting perspective that was introduced. I think I am going to go to bed now and just brush my teeth and do my skincare. I don't know if you could tell that I'm extra glowy now. Probably not. But I think, yeah, time to get some respite. So I'm actually proud of myself. I woke up kind of early. So I did go to sleep at like 2 a.m. last night, which is very late for Jess. I normally go to sleep latest midnight. Late. That's like the absolute have to go to bed. So I went to bed at 2, but I managed to wake up at freaking like 8 o'clock. That's like never been done in the history of Jessica's life. There's been only a very, very few times in 24-hour readathons that I actually stay up and not sleep. Otherwise, what happens most of the time is that I go to bed after about an hour or 2, and then I wake up at 10 going like, damn, I just missed a whole lot of hours. So I am up and I am chugging so much water because I am sleepy. So if you're attempting to do this, stay up and read a book in the entirety of a day, I'd recommend getting on a lot of sleep beforehand, having lots of cold water, especially when you need to wake up or stay awake. Cold water is key. But maybe don't do this. Don't be a crazy person. Highly not recommended. Another thing I'm gonna do for myself is play a little music that amps me up. Okay, I have been obsessed with Isabella Merced's new EP because, I don't know, I just like accidentally started binging all her content. I watched Instant Family, which was so cute. She's such an underrated actress, I feel like. And then she's in Let It Snow, which is on Netflix. And of course she was in Dora, and I saw Dora in movie theaters actually with my, who did I see that with? I think I saw it with my niece. It was very cute, especially if you were a Dora fan. I was an extreme Dora fan when I was a kid. So it was really fun watching that. So I've just like fallen into binging her content. So I'm just gonna play a few of her music, like pieces. Probably dance around for a bit, you know? We love that. Maybe get some breakfast too.
So you're looking for attention.
Something just happened and I wasn't ready for it. That was sad. I'm only on page 96. It's too early for this, Veronica. Why? I'm only 14 chapters in, like 100 pages in, and I'm in love. And whoever was complaining about like the viewers or the reviewers who were complaining about, oh my god, there's too much cursing. There's not. There's a good amount, especially for adults who have severe PTSD and trauma. It's good. I am feeling feels, which is always good. But yeah, I'm gonna keep on going. I think I have about 6 hours left, so we'll see when I finish. Some stuff has gone down. I'm not gonna get into it because at this point it's all spoilery. I'm like 150 pages in and I finally made my first coffee of the day. It is now 10 o'clock. Fun times. This book is really good so far, like fantastic. I have to check on Goodreads if this is a series that she's starting or if it's a standalone. Kind of want it to be a standalone because I don't want to have to wait for more books to come out to figure out what the F is happening, because there's so many little things that we don't know, and I really love that about stories. I know a lot of people say Sarah J Maas's writing has those kind of embedded gems where you don't see things coming or something like that. So I think it's interesting because I feel like as authors get more kind of creative with their writing, because I feel like with Veronica Roth, when Divergent came out, I don't even know how many books she had already written at that point in her life. Probably several, as writers do. Either like, you know, drafts you abandon, drafts you finish but don't get to publication. So it makes me wonder, like, when you get a series like Divergent published, there's a stigma behind it because, you know, we had The Hunger Games before, I think it was published before, and series that were really popular, dystopians, were published before. So I feel like when you get published for Divergent, they're like, okay, there's an expectation of what you're gonna do, the romance you're gonna simulate, all this stuff. So I feel like as authors start to kind of diverge, sorry, that was bad, from what their normal is, from what they've been doing for years, and kind of being more creative and having more freedom, they come up with these really intricate stories. I find, right, I'm only 150 pages in, but it seems so intricate. There are so many secrets that are still not given to us, and there's been a really big shift that's happened that has everything. Now I have to relearn everything, basically. No, that's not a spoiler, but it's interesting because I just feel like this book, and as authors get more and more like out into the world, they can be more creative. And I don't know, I just love it. I love looking forward to seeing new authors' work. Like, this is totally also very random. Victoria Aveyard is coming out with a new series, and that, like, I'm really excited to read that because Red Queen was one of the series that really got me into reading. Same with Divergent, but Red Queen was the first that where I like finished a book within a few days in like one sitting, where I was like obsessively reading it, as I am right now with The Chosen Ones. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what she does with it, because now you have kind of more creative freedom, though I still feel like there is a stigma to like please your audience and keep writing in the same genre. And that's why I think a lot of authors right now are starting to go into different genres, because it gives them more freedom. Like, I know Jason Reynolds just came out with notice that he's coming out with an adult book. I know Nick Stone has been jumping between middle grade and YA. If she wrote an adult book, I think it'd be super dope, just saying. So I think it's very interesting. That was a random thought. I'm sorry, that was way too long of a thought. I am going to start reading now. Okay, I'll update you as I go through this. I just got to a section where they're doing an interview between like a doctor and then a news reporter. I love the fact that most of the world building, besides being a part of the everyday conversation that the characters are having, that there's documents and little gems hidden in between each chapter. But I just wanted to share what the doctor said, because I totally agree. This doctor is talking about how the outcome of everyone having magic. So in The Chosen Ones, this is a world with magic. Basically, the doctor is outlining the different ways magic could impact humans. So she's like, if magic is a finite, non-renewable resource, then that means that only people with power and wealth will end up having it, leaving, you know, the wealthy and rich people to always have the power, and that'll affect the structure of humanity. And then she's like, okay, if magic isn't finite and it's renewable, then it's going to change the fundamental nature of humankind, thus like changing humans for the rest of their life. It was just interesting. And the guy's like, you don't see a positive outcome in any of this? And the doctor's like, I didn't even think about that. No, I don't think there's gonna be a good outcome. We are all animals after all, and don't let your house cat fool you into thinking that animals are nothing more than fuzzy, whiskered creatures who wish us no ill. Nature is bloody, and as a whole, it favors strength over compassion. Ouch. I think that's so on the nose. So on the nose. Okay, I just had to share that little fruit for thought. Okay, so I kind of had my first negative critique, I guess you could say. Like, it's really small. It's just a little bit bothering me. Is that Sloane and her friends have had a falling out. And that's not, like, integral to the plot. But, you know, friendship, trying to save the world, the dark one. There's gonna be ups and downs. And, like, this one girl in particular, Esther, is that her name? Is, like, mad at Sloane, or is trying not to pick sides between the friends or something, and they're just like being mean to her, and I don't really get it. I get why one person is mad at Sloane, that makes sense, but this other person, I'm just like, who are you? What are you doing? And it's like, it's happened now twice, and I'm like, really? Veronica, what? You're not gonna give me any justification for this attitude? Okay. I don't know if you can tell, but some time has passed. It is, I think, 5:30 now. Ooh, it's 6:30. Oh, it's way later than I thought. Oops, my bad. So I got ready, I filmed some videos, and then I took a little nap because I was very tired. But that nap did like nothing for me, and I'm very upset about that. Because like I got, I think, about 6 hours of sleep last night, 2 to 8, yeah. About 6 hours, but I'm so sleepy because I normally get like 8 to like 10 because I'm spoiled. This quarantine has been good for my sleeping, at least. Yeah, now I'm back to reading. I'm on page 345. I have about 3 hours left, so about an hour and a half left. So I might be able to finish around 8-ish, 8:10. I'm really loving this book. It's very interesting. Besides the fact that there's Okay, I was about to spoil something. I can't say exactly why I'm super excited. I realize that might be spoilery, especially if you don't want to know too much going into this book. But wow, it's been really exciting. And I really like what's happening right now because there's this new-ish person that we're starting to like understand more. And it's like, ooh. Not in the way like, not like sexy time, ooh, that's not what I meant, but like there's so many mysteries and stuff that I'm like, ooh, like I'm so excited. I just can't wait to figure out what the F's happening, and I refuse to look on Goodreads to see if this is a standalone because I'm so scared that this isn't a standalone and that I'm gonna be left with a big cliffhanger. So we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, that's how it's going. I think, how many pages do I have left? I think I have, yeah, roughly 70 pages left. I have no idea where this is going, and I'm so here for it. I love stories where you just have no idea what's happening. I feel like there's going to be a big battle. So, I finished The Chosen Ones. I might have to talk more about it tomorrow, just because I have lots of feelings. I kind of think this book could have been a standalone. I checked on Goodreads. It is a series. I'm interested to see what happens in the future with that ending. But I feel like, technically I don't think it's necessary. So I'm very interested to see what happens. I felt like the ending was just a little rushed. Like this whole story, it was very intricate, by the way. This whole story is very intricate. There's a lot of really fantastical, magical elements that are trying to play off with a lot of science and like, oh yeah, this is normal. So the whole story were broken up into bits, very digestible bits, moments happening, past reports, interviews, another moment of present time, and like it was this steady pattern of constant new information that was interesting and exciting. But then at the end, I feel like there was a dump of like the big, oh, I get it moment when everything clicks. I feel like that was a little bit of a dump. But I still enjoyed how most of the story built. And I guess at some point you do have to kind of rip the rug from under us. I just felt like the last 20 pages or so was just like, oh dang, a missed opportunity, because it just happened so fast. And there was massive consequences for it. The consequences were very cool. I actually really enjoyed how it ended. It's so funny because I always enjoy Veronica Roth's endings and like her story structure for the most part. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's such a pretty book too. Ooh. But yeah, that was quite a ride. And wow, I feel like I've been reading 4 hours. It's literally 8 p.m. now. Hi, so it's time to wrap up this vlog, and it's kind of sad because I've packed up most of my stuff, and this is probably going to be the last video in this place, so a little sad about it because it's such a pretty place. But you know what? We're moving. It's fine. It'll all be okay. But I have been thinking about my final review on The Chosen Ones, and it's really hard because I like initially do want to give it a 5-star. I think it was really well crafted. Yeah, but I think it's just missing that little bit of a spark for 5-star. Like Strange the Dreamer, I was so attached to Laszlo, and The Last Magician, the pairing in that book, I was so attached to. So I think I'm gonna have to give this like a 4.5 because I think it's just missing that little bit of spark to it. Because there was a romance in here and I didn't really care about it too much. I feel like though the characters were really complex and interesting, they just didn't emotionally connect with me, if that makes sense. They brought up great discussions and great arguments. It was really cool. The world was amazing. The magic system was amazing. I really enjoyed the plot. I just think when it came to, and I don't think the character building was bad, I just don't think it connected with me personally. So I'm gonna go with a 4.5. at some point in this series I will actually have a 5-star read. That'd be nice, right? But that is it for today's video. I hope you liked it, so make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you like my content. And I hope this video gave you a little bit more sunshine. Bye!